para mim, boa noite, é prazer, boa tarde.
Good evening, or perhaps good afternoon.
Prazer estar aqui em Harvard.
Good afternoon, turning evening, and it's a pleasure to be.
Hi, my name is Valeria, and I'm a member of the Forum Committee. Thank you so much, Madam President, for speaking today. Madam President, as a female world leader, you are inherently a role model for many girls and young women around the world. What advice would you give them?
Boa noite, Presidenta. Muito bem-vinda a Harvard, mais especificamente à Escola de Governo. Eu sou dos brasileiros que estuda aqui na Escola de Governo.
I'm one of the Brazilian people that study here. One of the things in Brazil that it's our lack of political awareness. The federal representative most elected in Brazil was Tiririca, that won the elections asking for votes of people who don't know what is a federal representative does. I myself, do I enter into politics, or if I'm a well-intentioned person and able, should I face this stigma in Brazil that all politicians are corrupted? People that are well-qualified and skilled, they decide to go to other professional careers, so they don't want to face this stigma. What do you have to say to this type of Brazilian person that doesn't go to politics because of this stigma, and they ended up like creating a group of representatives in Brazil as we see today, with corruption and all of that?
My name is Marianne Caballero. I'm a Venezuelan student here at the Harvard Kennedy School. My question is the following. We've seen at the beginning of the millennia two very significant or important leaders of the left of Latin America, or progressives, as we call them. There was President Lula, there was President Chavez. Now, 10 years afterwards, we see that President Chavez remains in Venezuela, and we see a change in Brazil. We also see that in Brazil, whereas you have managed to control your inflation, Venezuela has had about a 25% inflation annually for the last 5 years. We'll also see that as Brazil passed with flying colors the challenges of the global crisis, Venezuela is still recovering from it. I guess my question is, what are your recommendations? What are the recommendations of the Rousseff model towards the Chavez model? And also, what would be the recommendations of, if possible, if this were to happen, a change in the presidency of Venezuela that could happen in October 2012? What would be your recommendations for new changes in Venezuela?
Dario Galvão, my question is, the Brazilian government is the youth come to study here, and what are the possibilities of the young people who live here that are illegal immigrants? They cannot study. The possibility of the Brazilian government to release some spots to the young immigrants that live in here.
Olha, eu quero ser muito sincera com você.
Well, I think immigrants abroad, I cannot.
My name is Francisco Marquez. I am also from Venezuela.
O Chaves hoje está feliz.
Chaves today is happy.
Madam President, Judge Maria Fiuni is one of the most notorious political prisoners in Venezuela and recognized internationally. The Human Rights Council and the OAS and Amnesty International has recognized her as a prisoner of conscience. Even Noam Chomsky has asked for her release. My question is, Madam President, as a former political prisoner, and knowing that human rights transcends the borders of nations, what message do you have to Hugo Chavez regarding the case of Maria Fiuni and the state of democracy in Venezuela?
Mariana, I'm a Kennedy student from Argentina, and I would like to ask you, what do you think are the major challenges that we have to face for a deeper integration of South America and the Caribbean, particularly the relationship with Argentina? And who do you think will win the World Cup?
Harvard, Mr. President, we are honored to have you with us. Bienvenido.
My name is Inigo Adriasola, and I'm an art historian. I have a question for you, sir. I was very pleased with your speech yesterday before the General Assembly, but I was slightly confused by one point. During your speech, you talked a bit about the student movement just as you did today, and you referred to the cause as a great, noble, and beautiful cause, if my memory doesn't betray me. Now, I must say that I was fairly surprised because that is not what the Chilean government has been telling the students in Chile. On the contrary, it has been saying the exact opposite. It has either belittled their demands or demeaned them or just plainly ignored them and suspended the right to assembly, in some cases extremely forcefully repressing their gatherings. So basically my question is does this reflect a change in policy on your behalf? Will you sit down with the students and listen to their demands without any conditions as they have requested? Thank you, sir.
President Piñera, I am Francisco Meneses. I am a middle-class Chilean. My family has worked in 4 of your campaigns, and I have worked 1.5 years in your government. So I feel that I can make you a very complicated question. Chile has improved a lot in the last 20 years economically, and we have democracy, and we have many freedoms. But there's one freedom that in practice we do not have. The government does not guarantee in practice freedom of association. It is very difficult to make a new labor union in Chile. Students are kicked out of universities when they want to do an association. It's very hard, and the government puts taxes if we want to do a cooperative, a co-op. And it is really difficult to make it's very difficult to make a collective trial without the explicit approval of the government and support. This has nothing to do with your government. These laws were made by Pinochet to prevent civilians to organize themselves and rise against the military government.
Is there a question here?
Yes. We would love to enjoy the freedoms that people have in the Western world, Mr. President. So would you give us and grant us true and practical freedom of association, and by doing that, convert your current enemies in your allies? Would you change the laws made by the dictator that have barely changed during the last 20 years? Or would you keep things as they are right now? Thank you very much.
My name is Juliana Terratua. I am an undergraduate here. I was wondering, in another very fast-growing country in Latin America, in Panama, where I'm living right now, there is this sense that it's growing too rapidly for its own infrastructure. So there are too many cars on the streets, and there's not enough space in the actual streets. And so they're making new roads, and they have to cut through tourist sites such as El Casco Antiguo. Is there a concern that the same thing might be happening in Chile, and what is being done to stop that?
Muchas gracias, Presidente. My name is Jaime Besa, and I'm a Chilean student here at the Harvard Kennedy School. As you know, many of us Harvard Kennedy School students envision our careers serving in the public sector of our countries. For this reason, many of us admired the risk you took in appointing 2 very young people in your first cabinet, Ena Fombaer and our very own Felipe Cast. Unfortunately, due to different reasons, neither of them is currently serving there. My question to you is, what would be some of the lessons learned from this experience? But most importantly, what is your advice to people like us, young students from all over the world, so we can better prepare for taking significant roles in public office and succeeding in these positions? Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for joining us today at Harvard. My name is Paulo Sanger, and I'm an undergraduate studying government. My question for you is on the failures of the international governance system, such as the United Nations and the World Bank, that you mentioned in your speech. What do you believe the greatest faults with the system are? What is your vision for a better working international system? And what are the concrete conditions? What are the concrete conditions that countries such as the United States can help achieve to better our international system? Thank you.
I am Alejandra Matus, journalist, and just graduated from this school as a Master in Public Administration. Mr. President, you said that there are causes, or part of the cause of the students that you share, and that some significant difference remain. Yesterday, the students made one of the biggest demonstrations in Chilean streets, and 1,000 of them are about to lose the year, the academic year. I wonder if you have a plan. How are you going to solve this problem? How do you foresee this conflict is going to be resolved?
Thank you for your inspiring words, President Piñera. My name is Steve Randazzo. I am a first-year student at the Kennedy School of Government and also a former public school teacher here in New York, from New York. You mentioned that it is important for the United States to solve its debt problems in order to secure world prosperity, but also Chilean prosperity. And I want to know, as an esteemed economist and also a world leader, what would you suggest to the President of the United States, as long as the federal government, to solve our debt crisis? And I hope that you will at least address, if not other things, the options of cutting back on federal spending and also raising revenues through increasing taxes. Thank you.
Steve. It's an honor to speak with you. My name is Anthony Ramacone. I'm a freshman here at the college. In recent years, Chile has received a lot of praise over its privatized pension system. And here in America, we've been having a lot of issues with Social Security. I believe yesterday in the Republican debate, Herman Cain even praised the Chilean model. But there's also been a lot of labor pressure for more state spending within that model in Chile. So I was wondering if you had any thoughts on that, and are there any plans to alter the Chilean pension model as it stands right now?